Welcome back. The Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane and Minister Pravin Gordhan have been making the headlines throughout the week. Mkhwebane tabled a report with recommendations implicating Minister Pravin Gordhan, and the minister has since challenged the report in court. But what is really at play here, and where does all this leave President Cyril Ramaphosa? I have Solimweng, Brand Reputation Management Advisor, who is joining us from our Cape Town studio. He is also a commentator on these public issues. Tate Mweng, pleasure to have you with us on the show. And, on one hand, the public protector says there's wrongdoing on the part of Minister Pravin Gordhan. Minister Pravin Gordhan denies everything else and has gone to the courts to appeal those recommendations. On the other hand, political parties, particularly the EFF, are saying that President Cyril Ramaphosa must act and dismiss Minister Pravin Gordhan. What is at play here? What do you think, broadly speaking, is going on?
I think it's politics. I think that this is a very rotten climate. We know that the ANC is factionalized. We know that there are attempts to unravel what happened during the state capture economy. We know that a lot of people have a lot to hide. We know that the EFF, which a few years ago was opposed to Jacob Zuma, is suddenly in support of somebody like Tom Moyane, who is known to have been at the core of the rot that happened at SARS. And the public protector has not made herself many favors since she came on board. I mean, she has everything that she's done and said since she came on board has been clearly aligned with one faction, which is on the Zuma side and the EFF side of late. So it's very frustrating to see that the whole attempt is to weaken Cyril Ramaphosa. They try to take away all the people who are his core supporters from the team so that he's isolated, he's weakened, he's exposed. And this is what it's about. And there could be some merit in some of the accusations that are being thrown out there. But the fact is, the public protector has been very consistent in going after the people who are aligned with Cyril Ramaphosa. It is people who are seen to be aligned with President Cyril Ramaphosa and not the people who are aligned with former President Jacob Zuma. So this takes away some of the credibility of the office that she occupies.
Now, the response by President Cyril Ramaphosa himself, he's not said much, since the whole thing broke out. And of course, there's a lot of noise and discussion about this matter out there, but it's not, right. South Africans have got no idea of where the president stands on this matter.
Well, that's a problem, isn't it? President Ramaphosa is not a man of many words. People describe him as a chess player. He plays the long arm. But unfortunately, while he keeps quiet, while he strategizes, assuming that he is strategizing, a lot of ground gets stolen from under his feet. A lot of the carpet has been stolen from under his feet by Mahachule or the Mahachule faction. We've seen the appointment of seriously discredited people to head up important oversight parliamentary committees. Ramaphosa would not have chosen those people. So a lot of things happen, and he keeps quiet, and right in the end, he issues a statement or he says something more or less intelligent. But the fact of the matter is he's fighting with street fighters here. And he seems to be fighting a boardroom game with street fighters. And from the appearance of it, he's not winning. He needs to lead from the front. Mr. Ramaphosa is a duly elected state president of the Republic of South Africa, the commander of our joint forces or armed forces. He's supposed to say, this is what is acceptable, this is not what is acceptable. He needs to lead from the front. And right now, if he's leading from the back, and they're really, really hurting his image here, his credibility. All the excitement about Ramaphosa, about this man who's going to come and create some order in the house is slowly dying off because he's not showing any strength.
Now, again, the ordinary citizens, they look at all of this that's going on and they cannot make sense of it. How should they understand this whole controversy that's broken out?
Well, and that's a problem also because the South African public is being forced to take sides here. We're either on the Ramaphosa side or we're on the Zuma side, and that's what's playing out. Everything that's happening is about which side are you supporting. But the fact is, it's time that we put South Africa ahead of all of these inter-party factions fighting, the brother to brother, sister to sister battles, and it's not happening. So the South African public is confused, frustrated, and while all of this is happening, those who have the money are leaving the country. Those who have the skills and they can sell their skills in faraway places and live happily with their kids and their loved ones, they are leaving the country. Every day people are leaving. And while all of that is happening, the tax space is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. We're going to wake up next year with a tax revenue collection that are far lower than what had been expected. So South Africans need to be led. South Africans really, at the core, they don't care who leads the country, as long as the person leading the country or the group of people leading the country are doing the right thing. They act for country, they act for the people of this country, and they respect the law and the constitution of this country. And we're not getting a sense of economic policy clarity. We're not getting a sense of political policy clarity. So we're all frustrated. The world is frustrated. Everyone is still waiting to see where the cents are going to settle, because they're still moving in all directions.
Now, let's go back to the recommendations of the public protector this past week. And the view is held that because she found negatively against one of the favorites within the President Ramaphosa government, therefore analysts and commentators like yourself are upset. Whereas what she's doing is to indicate she's performing according to the mandate of her office, that she should act without fear or favor, and also assert her independence, and that she will pronounce the way that she's done.
Well, she hasn't acted without fear and favor on Ace Makachole, on the dairy farm in the East, in the Free State, that was robbed of money that ended up in the Gupta accounts. She hadn't acted without fear or favor, in regard to Jacob Zuma, with everyone who's aligned with Jacob Zuma. She hasn't acted without fear or favor on the VBS story. So she's clearly playing a political game here, and this is what's dangerous about this. I mean, she occupies a really important office, and neutrality is important because she's come out playing. I mean, the first 2 days after she arrived in her office, she already told the staff in her office not to watch ENCA, but to watch that NN4, whatever, NN7, the Gupta station. I mean, why would she do that? And she also didn't want to meet the previous public protector, so she was already biased. She was already criticizing her predecessor within weeks after she arrived in her office. So she hasn't done herself a lot of favors. Sometimes she might make some rulings that have merit, that are correct, but because of the image she's allowed to be created around her by her own actions, her own utterances, people will not trust her, and that is also a problem.
Now, the EFF has come out very strongly in her support and said that, no one should touch her, and if anything else, if she's brought before Parliament and her performance is questioned, they will take sides with her. And they've also picked up the cudgels, the findings of her investigation to say that President Cyril Ramaphosa must act swiftly against Pravin Gordhan. What do you make of that?
Well, if you're looking for any political policy stability anywhere in the world, don't go to the EFF. I think the EFF are playing their own political game. They were opposed to Zuma at some point. They were unhappy with Mkhwebane at some point. Suddenly Mkhwebane is doing all the things they want to see done. Mkhwebane is not going after Tom Moyane. We know the relationship between Tom Moyane and some of the people who benefited from his largesse at SARS. They didn't get money directly, but they were allowed to get away with not paying their taxes. Some of those people, it's been revealed, have turned out to be funders of the EFF. So the EFF has got the VBS story, which is still to be told, and this lady is not going after those stories that would hurt the EFF. So of course it's in their very selfish political partisan interest to defend her. Pravin Gordhan was the defender of the treasury during the state capture economy. That's why he was hounded out, he was harassed, he was eventually taken out of this position. Now he occupies he's the political overseer of the state-owned entities, of public enterprises. And that's where a lot of money gets stolen. That's where all the big tenders stay in the state-owned entities. So with Pravin Gordhan overlooking the public enterprises, and with all of these people looking for money and knowing that they could get them from the tenders coming from these public enterprises, it's reasonable to think that they would like Pravin to be removed so that they can put pressure on Cyril, who's really been weakened. We have to acknowledge that. So they want to place pressure on Cyril to replace Pravin with somebody who's malleable, who will be appointed by no other than Ace Mahashule, and we know what kind of person will be put in there. We know what will happen on the boards of the state and enterprises. We know what will happen in terms of where the tenders go. There's a lot of stuff that's at stake here, and at the core of it, it's money.
So, what did you make of the affidavit by Pravin Gordhan in response to the advocate Mkhwebane's recommendations?
Well, he had to respond. I mean, despite all the political noise and the factionalism and the views from people like us and others, there are processes that have to be followed. She has taken a step. He has responded with his affidavit to oppose that or to ask for a review of what she said. And the detail, the courts in the end will decide what is wrong, what is right. But I think that Pravin Gordhan must not give them the pleasure of moving out, of stepping aside, and I hope that the president will not be pressured to fire him before there's clarity on this thing, because all they want is for Pravin to be removed, to step aside, to regretfully, be taken out of that position. If that were to happen, as I said earlier, they're going to replace him with somebody who's malleable, and it's going to be hard for him to come back. It's going to be hard for Cyril Ramaphosa to replace him with somebody he can trust. So unfortunately, Pravin has to follow the processes. But I hope.
Let me ask you a
stays there long enough.
Final question and get a response from you in broad terms. You mentioned something about the economy, that people with wealth, with money, are leaving the country anyway. How would you define the current political climate in South Africa? And is there any chance that it will improve going forward?
It's very frustrating. You should never, in the history, even of the African National Congress, has a president been undermined so much from within his party from the start of his term. And this is the case with Ramaphosa. Usually presidents, they wait for them to lose the presidency of the party, and then they become, very easy to manipulate, to put it this way or that. So as long as there's no clarity, as long as the governing party, the ANC, is not able to speak in one voice in terms of economic policy, in terms of political policy, as long as the president gets undermined, gets contradicted each time he says something, the markets are going to remain waiting, holding on to their money, wanting to see where things are going. South Africans are going to continue saying those who can afford to leave, they will leave. Those who have skills, they will go away. So the climate of uncertainty is not good for economic growth, and it's not good for the eventual creation of an inclusive economy in South Africa.
Sonny, thank you very much for talking to us. We appreciate your time. Thank you for your insights. And after the break, we will be talking media freedom, and we are asking you to engage with us using the hashtag #TheMudisa Network on social media platforms.